It's time for another WrestlePlanet news update, as a huge New Japan star is coming to AEW, CM Punk is asked about whether he's coming back to wrestling, and Vince McMahon and WWE's television partners are furious over AEW's newest signings. All that and more coming up in today's video, but we've got some more serious news coming up first. First, we have a report from PW Insider that a former AEW wrestler has been hospitalized following a positive COVID-19 test. Japanese wrestler Ryo Mizunami tested positive for the virus on July 26th after coming down with a fever before she started to develop pneumonia. Mizunami, who is a big name on the Joshi scene, last worked for AEW in April, making 13 appearances for the promotion this year, and is a popular name on the Joshi scene in Japan. As well as Riho, her seedling colleagues Nanai Takahashi and Honori Hana have also tested positive but are recovering from home. This has led to seedling postponing their July 26th show. Amy Miura of Actress Girls has also tested positive following a headache and a fever. Hopefully all the women affected can return back to full health as soon as possible, and hopefully Ryo Mizunami can get all the treatment she needs in hospital. AEW EVP Cody Rhodes recently spoke with Inside the Ropes to discuss a number of subjects, and one of the topics that came up was his favorite wrestler, the icon Sting. In the interview, Cody expressed his desire to eventually work a match with Sting, although he noted that there is nothing in the pipeline right now. Here is what Rhodes had to say. I absolutely was adamant about wanting to do a match with him, and it's not something that's been discussed or contracted or anything like that, but while he's here, I still would hope that it happens. He's such a huge part of who I am, and he was such a dick to me on the second week when he showed up, and I love that. And I love his love for my dad as well. Cody then continued to express his admiration for Sting and revealed that it was due to this that Tony Khan let him in on the process of signing him to the roster. Cody added, "He let me in on the process of it, and I got to be there to help facilitate it to a small degree, but more than anything, I think he did that out of respect for my fandom. Sting was my favorite wrestler growing up, and he's a big part of my childhood. I've modeled a lot of the babyface I'd like to be after the babyface that Sting was, so for him to be involved in what we do is massive." Right now, Rhodes is caught up in a feud with Malachi Black, which comes to head next week on AEW Dynamite Homecoming live from Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida. Sting vs Cody Rhodes is probably going to happen at some point in the future, depending on how long Sting remains active in the ring, but I can't see Sting retiring again without a match with Cody in AEW. But what do you think of a Sting vs Cody Rhodes match? Let me know in the comments down below. Next up, Fightful are reporting that WWE recently let a bunch of behind-the-scenes employees go from the company. They are said to have fired people from departments such as marketing, merchandising, and other consumer product areas. Several staff who have been let go over the past few months were told that there's actually a good chance that they will be brought back at some point, which is similar to what happened last year after WWE furloughed dozens of employees before some of them were brought back months later. For now, there has been no talk of any more talent releases to coincide with these cuts, although we will keep you updated should this situation change. During last night's episode of AEW Dynamite, we saw a video of New Japan star Hiroshi Tanahashi, who issued a challenge for the IWGP United States Championship, a title he's never held before. This was followed up later in the night by a promo from Jon Moxley, who called out the ace, noting that he has unfinished business in Japan. On the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer discussed that he had spoken with Tony Khan about Jon Moxley's opponent at the upcoming All Out pay-per-view, with Mox telling Tony that he wants to wrestle a top New Japan Pro-Wrestling superstar on the show. This seems to suggest that the match lined up for the former AEW World Champion will in fact be with Hiroshi Tanahashi, with the seeds being planted on the show last night. For now, Tanahashi is set to face Lance Archer, who retained his IWGP United States Championship last night against Hikuleo, with Archer and Tanahashi set to clash at the upcoming New Japan Resurgence show on August 16th. It's worth noting that that New Japan match actually happens in the States and is set for the LA Coliseum, which means Tanahashi will be in America in the middle of August. That means he can skip any quarantining if he waits around for All Out. And quickly, just before we continue, make sure you scroll down and drop a like and subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss any upcoming wrestling content as we head towards 20,000 subscribers. But now that you've done that, let's get on with the rest of the video. Over the past week, CM Punk and Bryan Danielson have been the talk of the wrestling world, with both said to have signed with AEW. What has since been forgotten is that Punk is actually set to appear on another TV show alongside actor Stephen Amell. Amell, who has dipped his toe in wrestling before, having worked 3 matches in the past, will appear in a show called Heels alongside Punk, with the show's pilot airing on August 15th. Amell spoke of his time working with Punk on the show and revealed that he had a lot of fun doing so, and he said, "It was a real blessing. We had originally another actor, not a wrestler, really good guy, set for the role of Ricky Rabies. Scheduling wise, it ended up not working out, and then all of a sudden, it's like, we've got CM Punk on this show. I get to train with him a little bit. Phil was so great in and out of the ring that we ended up bringing him back for the finale. Ricky Rabies and Jack Spade share some bonding moments, mostly with Phil on the toilet, but it still counts." Amell then revealed that he recently asked Punk about the ongoing rumours of an in-ring return, but failed to get a definitive answer, and he revealed, "I actually texted him when all this stuff broke, like, you coming back? And he sent me back a photo of a cat shrugging. Look, anything as a general rule, anything in the world of pro wrestling that is going to piss Vince McMahon off and get his competitive juices flowing is probably good for business, maybe great. The only thing I know for sure is that Phil can still go for sure. He's in great shape. I would love to see those guys show up in AEW or WWE, Phil versus Triple H, you name it, it'd be great." And obviously he's kidding with that last part, I hope. It does make me wonder if Punk's appearance in Heels is what convinced him to come back to wrestling, with the show perhaps getting his juices flowing for wrestling once again. AEW heavily teased Punk on last night's Dynamite, all but guaranteeing his debut in the promotion, with it seeming like he's set to make his debut in the United Center in Chicago for the AEW Rampage The First Dance special. And finally, we have a report from Andrew Zarian of the Mat Men podcast concerning WWE's reaction to Daniel Bryan and CM Punk signing with All Elite Wrestling, more specifically the reaction of Vince McMahon himself. Speaking on his podcast, Zarian revealed that Vince is very disappointed with Daniel Bryan leaving in particular, however not so much CM Punk. Andrew said, "There's a lot of rumours that Vince is very upset and management is very angry. How could they let these two go? I think Daniel Bryan is the disappointment for them, CM Punk not so much. There's no buzz that I'm hearing coming from the office side that we've effed up by not signing him. There's a lot of people that think his stock is not what it normally would be. They think his UFC losses hurt him. A lot of people worked with him when he was very unhappy, and I think that's the memory that they have. I'm saying from management, not the talent. I think the talent knows what a big deal this is." Zarian then went on to discuss the reaction of one of WWE's television partners, who is currently yet to be named. He revealed that they are unhappy that AEW signed CM Punk instead of WWE and added, "A certain network is not very happy about the CM Punk stuff. WWE, they are not very concerned about CM Punk. They know it's a big get for AEW, but they were not negotiating to bring him in. However, I would say that Daniel Bryan is a big hit for them." It's easy to see why WWE and their partners would be frustrated at this situation, as two big names like this heading to their competition not only weakens their roster, but helps build AEW. As for the television company who are unhappy, it's likely one of Fox or the USA Network, unless it's one of WWE's international broadcasters. Whilst no official announcement has been made, as we mentioned, CM Punk was heavily teased last night on Dynamite, and Daniel Bryan is still very much expected to join AEW to allow him to work shows in New Japan. CM Punk's debut is expected to happen first on Friday, August 20th. This is for the AEW Rampage, the First Dance special in the United Center in Chicago. Bryan Danielson is expected 1 month later at the Wednesday, September 22nd show in Queens, New York at the Arthur Ashe Stadium. AEW could move this forward with fears that COVID restrictions could be put in place stopping the show, but we will keep you updated should anything happen in that regard. And before you go, why not check out my video where I discuss 5 ways that AEW could book the debut of CM Punk.